Look at this. We made it. Canora, Saskatchewan. We're in the curling rink, the Sylvia Fedoric Center. It's a live show, live sports cage today. It's hockey day in Saskatchewan, in Canora. Brandon Basler joining me. We made it here. Before we get started, if you are out on the highways today, maybe you're going to a sporting event, hockey, anything like that, there's got to be some cancellations. Let us know. Roads were a little dicey here.
Yeah, that wind, that Saskatchewan January wind was a bit of an issue, but we made her. It was a little better than I was maybe expecting. Not giving anybody any ideas to head out necessarily if you don't have to, but yeah, we left early, checked out the community here in Canora, and here we are.
Clouds are starting to go. I can't see it being much better tomorrow morning or anything. So yeah, just check with somebody that's driven on them. I would say the highway hotline, but I would check with somebody that's got boots on the ground, whatever highway that you're going down today. Again, if you got any cancellations you want to pass on, you can text us 936-6262. We'll do our best to try and pass those. The commish from the SJHL just texted in. All SJ games are a go as of right now.
Okay, yeah.
Go SJHL tonight. You wondering what games that I'm talking about? SJHL, give a quick rundown for the fellas. It is Weyburn, Melville. We cruise that.
The Rhythmaires. Rhythmaires, yeah.
We just cruised that road. Great farm. Unreal. Melfort's in Yorkton. Big match.
That's right.
Right, two of the top teams. A measuring stick for the Terriers down the road from here in Canora. Humboldt's at the Battlefords. Larange is in Estevan, Kindo, and Flin Flon. Canora tomorrow hosting a game right here for Hockey Day. Hockey Week, Hockey Day, call it what you want, in Saskatchewan. It's the Terriers from Yorkton playing back-to-backs. Do it a lot in that league. Notre Dame Hounds. Tomorrow, 7:30 at the hockey rink, which is directly across the parking lot from us here in the curling rink. Full slate of things going on. Yes, last night it was the senior alumni and senior team gathering.
So from what I understand, the alumni, it's 20 years since they won their last senior championship, which was in the Fishing Lake Hockey League, which isn't a thing anymore, but they got together, the alumni and some of the current Cobras. They mixed up teams, young and old, to make them even, I guess, and had an alumni game. Our driver, Cheech, was telling us it was fantastic. The rink was packed. Everyone was having a good time. And tonight's keynote speaker, guest Marty McSorley, made an appearance on the bench, hanging out with the boys. I guess they had a little bit of a late night maybe with Marty McSorley out here. He's a beauty.
It sounds like he is an absolute beauty. He's going to come on the show today, hopefully. That's going to be in hour 3. Hour 2, I'll work backwards here. We got Brett Lauther, Saskatchewan Rough Rider kicker, who's a heck of a hockey player in his own right. He's going to come on and talk about the charity event coming up February 1st in Saskatchewan at the Basler Center. It is the Winter Classic for the Saskatchewan Rough Rider Foundation. We'll also talk football with Lauther. Now, schedule is released, his take on that. We're trying to get Don Chesney to come by in hour 2.
Sounds like he lives in the area, right? He's around Melville. He's on his way in. I think he'll be on the stage tonight. But yeah, he's supposed to be joining us just after 4. Can't wait to anybody in this part of Saskatchewan, especially southern, southeast, you hear Don Chesney's name and everyone's got a story. A legendary junior coach, junior A, junior B. He's done it all. So that will be fun.
It is. Let's take a quick break here. We're live in Canora, Saskatchewan. It is the Sports Cage on location, streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the Sports Cage Live, Canora, Saskatchewan. It's Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. It's going to be a great night here. Marty McSorley, Don Chesney at the event. Let's go out in the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. We've kept him waiting a bit here from TSN. Farhan Lalji is joining us. Farhan, what's the travel plans for you right now? Where are you? Because I know you're heading off to KC, right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting to do this so that I can eventually get to the airport here. So yeah, I'm going to Kansas City. I've got the game tomorrow. Sunday I leave and go to Atlanta for the college football championship. So a good weekend of football for the next couple of days for me. You guys sound like you got a lot of fun local hockey content tonight. That sounds like a great event.
Yeah, it's gonna be unreal. The silent auction, which we're gonna get to in a bit, there are some really gem prizes. Looking at the Hughes Vancouver Canucks signed jersey right over there. Yeah, there's a lot of great things. Like I said, we'll get to that. Okay, to start NFL wise,
with Hughes and the Canucks, that might be the only jersey that a fan won't throw on the ice, given how the Canucks are playing right now. So that's a good item right there. People respect 43 as much as anybody in this organization as of today.
Is that thing going to be fixed this year?
Nope. They may try to fix it, but and look, at the end of the day, Calgary and St. Louis are kind of scuffling along here. So to say that the Canucks are out of it, with half a season to go is not likely. But this team is broken. It is legitimately broken, and it needs something significant to fix it. And even if you fix it now, it might take a while for the wounds to heal, and we might not have it completely fixed until next season.
You think, I don't know you're a Vancouver guy, but do you think a team like Calgary sneaks in here? I know we're only halfway through. It's kind of one of those feel-good stories going on right now, kind of like Vancouver of last year.
Yeah, for sure. And they're getting great goaltending right now. Rasmus Anderson's playing well. Jonathan Huberdeau is a good story as well in terms of bouncing back with his career. Kadri's playing well. They're maximizing what they've got, and they're a year or two ahead of where they wanted to be, in my opinion. So given the fact that there's kind of 7 legitimate teams in the West, and Vancouver, Calgary, and St. Louis, and a few others might be competing for 8. Calgary could certainly get into that spot, and then Vancouver could recover enough to get there as well. But Calgary's certainly a better story right now than what's happening in Vancouver in terms of the feel-good factor, because nobody on the West Coast is feeling good right now when it comes to the hockey team.
A CFL schedule finally released yesterday, just random, kind of came from left field. You were right, though. You broke the story here on the Sports Cage. No neutral site game, no touchdown anything game. When you look at the schedule, what do you like about it? What jumps out to you, Farhan?
Yeah, not a ton. I mean, it seems like a standard schedule. I see less, which is a good thing. I've had a chance to, check in with a few of the general managers around the league, and Dave Naylor did the same when he was at league meetings in Charlotte. And usually you'll get everybody coming back and acting like they've got the most difficult schedule known to man because they're playing 3 games in 11 days, and they're playing a team that's coming off a bye week, and you hear so much of that, and there's less of it now. And look, at the end of the day, when you've got an odd number of teams and you're trying to shoehorn this schedule, every team is going to deal with some portion of that, but there's a little less angst around it so far this year. I think people are just happy to get a schedule, and that's the biggest complaint, that they didn't get this out before Christmas.
The Eugene Lewis thing, I love that this week, where Ed Harvey's saying, hey, go test it. Go see what you're worth, what you're going to fetch. I don't know. I've talked about it on the show this week. You can disagree with me. I don't think there's any way he signs re-up in Edmonton after that play. I don't know. What do you think the market is going to tell us on a guy like that? And do you think that now the relationship will be fine, that he could go back to Edmonton and say, okay, this is what it's going to take?
Money talks, and when you're Eugene Lewis, I think he's shown in the last couple of years that is the most important thing, right? It's not always team and fit and best chance to win a Grey Cup. It is money talks. And, I think even last year, didn't necessarily want to renegotiate because you knew the following year, you renegotiate with an extension, but everybody knows the extension's not real, right? So, at the end of the day, he's going to go where the biggest dollars are. And I don't think he's going to be offended. I don't think there's a broken relationship. A lot of people believe he's going to wind up in Calgary. And I certainly think that could well happen. But, how much is Calgary going to pay, given the fact that, they're paying Reggie Begelton a good amount of money, and they've extended Philpott as well for a reasonable number there too. So, but, he's got a great relationship with Vernon Adams. And, if they lose out on a player like Justin McInnis, maybe they circle back. I mean, it's harder for people to justify that kind of salary with an import. But do I think Geno Lewis can make $250,000 next year? I think that market's probably there for him. I think 320 is fantasy, but Ed's playing it smart, right? It's a smart thing to say to these guys. Yeah, go early. We'll give you an opportunity, and if it's there, take it. And if it's not, here's what our number is.
Should the Riders be kicking tires on that action?
I think so. I think the Riders are deeper at receiver than a team like Edmonton as far as their high-end imports are concerned. But look, Geno Lewis is one of the top, in my opinion, top 3 import receivers in the league. So everybody should be kicking tires, right? I don't know that there's not a team out there, but every team's also got a big-time number 1 that's currently under contract, right? And that makes it difficult because everybody's got those slots. And if you've got somebody that you think is your highest-paid guy, and if you're Calgary and you think that's going to be Reggie Bagleton, and what's he making? I think his average value is I think $215 a year. I know it's not exactly $215 per, but it's a $430,000 contract, and I think Geno's going to want more than that, right? So I don't know.
You're a good guy to ask this question. What would McInnes be worth?
$250. I think that market's there for him as a starting Canadian. That's not only a starting Canadian, but he's either your wide receiver 1 or your wide receiver 2. He's been able to generate that kind of impact playing in the slot. So I think there's a lot of interest in him, and I think there's a market for him in that $250 range.
Yeah, see, that's a guy that I think the Riders should be maybe kicking tires on right there.
They might, and like I said, they've got good Canadians there in the receiving core, right? So I don't know that they would want to pay that much money to bring him in, given what else they've got there, right? With Kean Schaefer-Baker especially, who's a very, very high-end player. But, I know there's a lot of interest from Calgary as well because of the relationship with Adams, but his daughter's also here in Vancouver. So my understanding is that there's a strong likelihood he doesn't make it to free agency and extends in BC, but that's not done yet.
All right, NFL, Kansas City, Houston, any sniff here? What do they got to do on the road, Arrowhead, to keep this thing close? I said they better have some sort of scheme that no one's seen before, because if you're just going to put the arm down and go, you're going to be in tough.
Yeah, look, I like what I saw from Houston in their last game. I'm not surprised they beat the Chargers, but the Chargers are also, you also get the worst of Justin Herbert in that game, and on some levels they kind of beat themselves. So I do like Houston's defense. I like the way C.J. Stroud is playing because, we thought that he had taken a bit of a step back this year, but I think in the last few weeks he's shown that he's still able to play this game at a pretty high level and can build on last year, even if it's for a bit of a playoff run. I'm taking Kansas City, but I think, first of all, they've got to play with a lead if you're Houston, because if you don't, the crowd's going to get involved, and that's going to be a tough thing for C.J. Stroud to do, when you consider that, when you consider the elements and all of it. So they got to find a way to get some early success, and that's tough to do against the Kansas City team because Kansas City's a chameleon, and they kind of play whatever style is necessary based on their roster. So this year they haven't been as explosive, but you've seen Kansas City put together 10 and 12 play drives, especially early in games. They've had a lot of success in the first quarter of football games, but then they haven't been able to run away and hide. So, I just think that if they get out in front early, I think that's a bad thing for Houston in this environment.
I want a couple words on the other ones. Okay, let's go Washington, Detroit.
I love Jaden Daniels. I love Jaden Daniels. And I like Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and what they're doing, but I don't put this past Jaden Daniels to win this football game. You talk about another scenario where Detroit better go run and hide. They better have some early success and run and hide. I'm impressed with what Detroit's done with their injuries that they've had. They're slowly getting healthier on the defensive side of the ball, but I'm telling you, the fact that it's indoors and in a controlled climate and all of that, I think helps both teams really. But I certainly think that Jaden Daniels is going to be comfortable there. But Detroit better run and hide, because if this game is close, Jaden Daniels is going to find a way to win it like he's done all season long.
Philadelphia Eagles strike me as that combustible couple that you see at the resort that, at any time they could just blow up and it could all be over. I think the Rams have a fair shot here going in there. Am I off my rocker?
You're not off your rocker, but again, kind of a similar thing that, that's a great defense. It really is. And that's a hostile environment to play in. So again, a team that needs to have early success. And I don't want to, be all cliche here with all of my analysis, because I think the big game that you want to talk about with Baltimore and Buffalo is going to be entirely different. But if Philadelphia can have some early success here, you're good. In all three games that I've talked about early success, I've talked about it for different reasons. And I say that here because if Philadelphia has to all of a sudden throw the ball in a game they get behind in, I don't think that's good. Like, I like Jalen Hurts, but this has been kind of a repeat of Jalen Hurts 3 years ago, right? Like, you had this looks like the year before they went to the Super Bowl. The year they went to the Super Bowl, we saw a guy that could throw it and do some different things with it, but he's looking like a bit of a game manager right now in a team that's really, really relying on its run game. And it shouldn't be that way because with Goddard and Smith and Brown and what they've got at receiver, they should be able to be more dynamic in the pass game, but they haven't been all year. So if you're all of a sudden the Rams and you can get 2 scores up, which I think they can, because in the last 2 months of the year, they've been as good as any team in the NFL. If they do that, they're going to win this football game because Philadelphia is not built to come from behind.
And then the game of the weekend, it's a pick'em. Buffalo at home. Derrick Henry. I don't know where I go on this one. What about you?
This is 2 heavyweights that are going to be throwing haymakers. And what happens early? Both of these teams are equipped to come back and do it differently right now. Both of these offenses can be explosive. If you're Baltimore, you just want to stay close enough to keep the run game involved, right? And to not have to be all about the pass. But the crowd's not going to affect either team. The weather's not going to affect either team. These guys are throwing haymakers, and they're 2 quarterbacks. Naylor and I just got off the phone and had this conversation about legacy. Now, ultimately, I think these teams need to win the next 2 games, right? If you're Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, you're not in each other's shadow. You're both in Patrick Mahomes' shadow. So this game is just one half of what you need to get done, in terms of your legacy and what you need to show. But I am so getting my popcorn ready for this one because it's going to be just a fabulous football game, and it's going to be all that you expect of playoff football. 2 polished, well-coached teams with outstanding quarterback play. It's going to be so much fun. But I'm taking Baltimore. I'm taking Baltimore to win this game.
I just hope whoever comes out there's got enough the following weekend. They're just going to beat the snot out of each other. Where do you got enough left for Kansas City? If it is Kansas City, which it probably is.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point, and I think they will, because you're going to need to play 2 different styles in terms of the physical game you're going to get this week versus maybe a little bit more track meet finesse in the next one. Yeah. But it's just going to be so much fun to watch.
I know. Okay, and quickly, is there? You're not talking me out of taking Ohio State. The 8-point spread.
The Buckeyes are going to win, and they're going to cover. If it is close, Notre Dame's going to win. But I'm going to be close. I think that Ohio out in front early. They're not going to take penalties like they did in the last game, and they're not going to take turnovers, which is the fuel for Notre Dame. Like, that's how they move the ball. Yeah. Ironically, Notre Dame's actually scored more points this season than Ohio State has, but we don't view their offense as explosive or exciting because Riley Leonard's kind of not that guy, right? So, I go through this every national championship and even every Super Bowl where one team's favored, I'm all in, and then as the week progresses, I convince myself it's going to go the other way, and it never does. And I'm not convincing myself this week. It's Ohio State with a bullet. They are better. If they make mistakes, they have to make mistakes. If they make mistakes and turn it over and do some things that lets Notre Dame get oxygen, Notre Dame can win at the end. They've proven that. I just don't think it'll come to that. I think it's going to be a 2-score game throughout. Notre Dame's going to try to rely on Riley Leonard, and it's not going to work for him.
All right, we covered hockey, covered a little CFL, a little NFL, and then that. Like, it's just, we're all over the place. Farhan, have a good flight. Always ginger ale, right? Ginger ale on the flight. And what's the weather like in Kansas City?
Cold. Not as cold as it was last year. Last year we had like the 3rd coldest game in NFL history. This time when they played Miami. This time around, it's expected to be anywhere from freezing to like -5, like not ridiculous.
Right on. Okay, thanks for taking some time. I know you had a busy one. Travel safe.
See you, buddy. Have a good event tonight.
Right on. Farhan Lalji from TSN. Guy knows everything. He can get us around and everything. And he's going Kansas City to the National Football Championship. Are we back? Are we back to working, you and I together?
I think we're live. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you hear me now. It's live shows, right? You never know what's going to happen. Mike here, Mike there. What's your take on these NFL games?
I'm excited, just like everybody else, for Buffalo, Baltimore. Like the other games, I don't know. It's just that one game that I'm really excited to watch. In terms of who I think is going to win,
yeah,
I don't know.
We can keep chatting as the day goes, because I got some betting lines here that I don't know where to go. We're live in Canora. When we come back, we're going to go through some of the silent auction things. You can bid on these items right now. We'll give you the website. I'll give you the website as we go along here. Pretty simple to find. HockeyDayInSask.ca. It's the All New SportsCage, streaming on sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. Welcome back. Brandon and Barney, Colson, and I think Alan are back at the ship there in Regina. It's the Sports Cage live in Canora, Saskatchewan, for Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. Tonight's the big banquet right here in the hall. As you can see behind me, Brandon and I were asked to participate. We're going to help out through the hot stove with Marty McSorley and legendary junior hockey coach in Southern Saskatchewan, and then the garlic belt, Don Chesney. So yeah, that's why we're here. It'll be a lot of fun. Let's get into this, Brandon. The old silent auction. Like they got a nice setup here. The key, like I said, if you want to bid, if you're a jersey guy or girl, you like autographed jerseys, this is your thing. Get in on this right now. HockeyDayInSask.ca. You can navigate your way to the silent auction. Now, which one am I gonna? I was online here. You're eyeballing some stuff here.
Yeah, I'm an Oilers guy. There's some Oilers merch here. I don't know about any signed Oilers jerseys, but I see a Chandler Stevenson signed Seattle Kraken jersey. Good Sasky guy. You mentioned the Quinn Hughes autographed jersey. Matt Sundin, a little throwback. A lot of the junior teams in the province as well, with some team autographed jerseys. I know the Hockey Sask guys work hard to help these fundraisers get donations and some autographed memorabilia and merchandise. So lots to bid on. You don't have to be here, like you mentioned. You can log in at home and place your bids that way too.
Team signed 2024-2025 Vegas Golden Knights jersey. There's a lot of these jerseys have the full team. The Montreal Canadian ones, Regina Pats, got a Rush, Vegas Golden Knights. Right now, current bid's $201. Where's that going? Like Telemiracle style higher before the night's done. World Juniors from 2022.
It was Bedard, I think, when he scored the overtime goal in the quarters or the semi or whatever. He's number 16 on the jersey. I was looking at the
little
John Henry's on there.
Tight. It's like a European fit. Tight jersey. But yeah, that's at 400. What else? We got like a DeWalt, a Yeti.
Shop vac.
Big Yeti coolers, a guitar. If you're looking for a new axe, this could be your place. And then Winnipeg Jet tickets. They got 4 tickets March 28th against the New Jersey Devils. 4-pack there, donated by Yorkton Concrete. And then Rice Construction stepping up. They're saying, we're not going to let Yorkton Concrete roll things over here. Rice Construction said, we're going to go 4 tickets March 11th Jets game, and they take on the New York Rangers.
I'm impressed you can read that from here.
So
better eyes than I do. I can't quite make out any of that.
Some of that hooch that Cheech was talking about later. I won't be able to see. I'll tell you that much.
So I know we're talking silent auction, which is great. Everybody at home can get in on the action. But how about some of the live auction items? You don't have to be here. But the one I wanted to mention is we talked about Marty McSorley off the top and how he came here yesterday and just fit in with the community and hanging out with the locals.
Shows up on the bench.
Yeah, shows up. But he came yesterday, so he arrived in Canora Thursday. And one of the live auction items is a day ice fishing for you and a friend with Marty McSorley on Monday. So not only does he come here for a sports gala, he's putting in a 5-day shift out here. And I think that's amazing. Can you imagine spending a day on the ice with Marty McSorley?
Like if you were an Oilers guy back in the day, or if you were just a McSorley fan, anything, and you get to go ice fishing with them.
Yeah.
I would like to. Do we know what the shack like? One of those fancy ones?
I'd hope so, yeah. Maybe they're just out on an old 5-gallon pail flipped upside down. in the middle of the lake.
Now that's the picture you want. Yeah.
Like I already said it, but like to me, there's so many people that would come out here, in and out, one day, gone. But I was like, he's staying for how many days? He lives down in Phoenix, I think.
He's going to have to do laundry halfway through the Canora laundromat. Yeah, great. And we're going to have Marty on after 5 o'clock as well, joining us here. Like the slate of games and things going on tomorrow is staggering. Starts at 8:30 in the morning, a little U9 action. Canora Cobras versus the Melville Millionaires. 8:30 U9, Canora Camsack. They're just down the road. You know, they don't get along, but they're U9s. 10:30 U13s, Canora Camsack against Melville. 1 o'clock, we get into the AAA female. It's good hockey. You have female. Girls can shoot, and they're fast, and they're strong. Regina and the Battleford's Sharks. So the Battleford Sharks, you know, they're going to hit up the Red Apple when they roll down.
They have one in North Battleford, I think. Actually.
It used to be the Met. 4 o'clock, the Yorkton Maulers, Regina Pat Canadians. 14-year-old Maddox Schultz, Jonas Sievertson drafted and played some games here with the Prince Albert Raiders. At Bash, maybe. I don't know about Monday's game in net.
Could be. Yeah, I know, not to get off topic, but we were both at the U18 AAA game last night.
We're going to talk about that.
Moose Jaw takes down Regina to get a little cushion at the top of the league. But great game last night. Really impressed with the crowd at C6 in Regina for the cold January Thursday night game. It was pretty impressive to see that many fans.
Since we're off topic, kudos to Real. They plowed that little horseshoe area. They did think that we could put the blade down and people weren't sliding around in their vehicles. It was easier for the elderly to walk in and out. So good job, Real, for getting the shovels out tomorrow. And then it ends after the AAA game with Pat Canadians and Yorkton Maulers. They go right into a Junior A game. Zamboni guy and Ice guy, he's going to have to be on point. You know, because you start getting that AAA and Junior A, you got my kids, they complain. You know, the ice, my skates, or the blades. It's like, you know what we used to play on? But that ice is going to take an absolute kicking when you got a AAA game right into a Junior A game. I don't know if maybe we can talk to him at some point today. How's he going to handle that kind of pressure? What's the Zamboni guy's name? Darcy in town. Probably.
Darcy had a late night last night.
Electrolytes, we hear as we speak. So that's that Junior A game, 7:30 tomorrow here in Canora between Yorkton and Notre Dame. And then things continue Sunday. It's all online, like I said, Hockey Day in sask.ca. And then you can navigate yourself to the silent auction. Duncan Keith autograph Oilers. When's the last one? That 2 years ago? Last year.
Yeah, not last year. Definitely not last year. Two at least. But now they got John Klingberg, so everything's coming up Oilers today.
That's what I was
Boys are absolutely buzzing lately too.
I was just going to go to that. Your Oilers signed John Klingberg. So now he was banged up, injured, free agent.
Yeah, he hadn't played yet this year. He had off-season surgery and stuff. So they signed him for, I think it was $1 million prorated, so like half of that. And then a little $350K sign bonus, which I believe how that works is if they have cap room this year, it'll go on this year, and if they don't have cap room, it carries over to next year. So
they're getting a bargain. It's a senior hockey hometown bargain.
Low risk, right?
Very low risk. And you guys need some help in the back. Always back end season.
Yeah. Always the talking oil country, that's for sure.
Take a quick break. The Sports Cage, we're streaming. See behind me if you're watching that stream. We're in the curling rink in Canora for the big event. The banquet is tonight. Streaming at sportscage.com, and we're on the mighty 620 CKRM. Hey, don't forget to host your team fundraiser at the Canadian Brew House. A chance to win $2,500. Tons of options to choose from. The Canadian Brew House can help you raise funds for your crew. Details are online at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. We talked about it last night. C6, Regina Pat Canadians, Moose Jaw Warriors. We hyped it up here on the Sports Cage. We said, let's pack C6. It was a fairly big crowd. That rink isn't conducive to being packed though. If you're down low on the sides, you
Can't
can't
see
see
anything.
squat.
Brutal. Yeah, you gotta get up high, and I don't know. What do you think was there? 1,000? Is that aggressive?
Maybe I'd go south of that a little bit.
Okay.
See, it's hard to judge. It's hard to judge. I think what's the capacity? Maybe somebody can text it in, then in Colson, you let us know, 936-6262 of C6. But great hockey game. So the Pat Canadians come out, 3-0 lead. Trevor Weisgerber, head coach of the Moose Jaw Warriors, takes his time out. They go after 3-2.
3-2 after the first. Yeah.
And there were some saves made. I'm just gonna so was that your first time watching them this year?
I watched 2 periods early in the year against Battleford, like real early in the year. That's the first time I sat and watched a full game this year. Great hockey though.
Gage Nagel, he scored to make it 3-1, and that was the backhand one.
Backhand shelf, right?
Oh, that was
beautiful.
That's what Brett Lauther scored Tuesday night hockey last week. The exact same goal. Great, yeah. It was sexy to say the least. Ryan Gibbs then scored. They go in. Then Moose Jaw tied it up in the second. Then Regina's Ryan Ulmer made it 4-3. Then it's 4-4 in the third. And then Moose Jaw went 5-4 on a power play goal. They scored to go up 2. Maddox Schultz scores late, but the
with 12 seconds left or something, right? Yeah.
6-5 the final. So they have tomorrow they're back here. Pat Canadians in Canora taking on the Maulers. And then I know the Moose Jaw Warriors, they play, I think, the Mintos. So you can great hockey game. Good job, everyone that made it out there. We'll keep you updated, of course. I think we're the only sports show that's talking AAA midget hockey.
Great to see Moose. I don't think Moose Jaw, I don't follow it religiously, but I don't think they're a perennial powerhouse.
No, that's
top of the league, right? Yeah, it's great to see.
One of those things that doesn't come around. So a little CFL talk here. If you didn't catch it earlier this week, Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with our head of football operations, Jeremy O'Day.
Jeremy O'Day, maybe we'll start with the signing of Jameer Thurman. It was announced yesterday. What does that mean to your roster?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Jameer's obviously on the football side of things is a very good football player and veteran guy that's had a lot of success in this league and played at a high level. And then, what he brings to the locker room is invaluable. Coming to a new team and trying to get used to the players in the locker room and the coaching staff, and also trying to develop yourself into a leader of a new team is often challenging, but he did a nice job of that. And he's just a natural leader, great work ethic, and someone you definitely want to build your defense around.
Now, he did sign a 2-year deal. What's the significance of the term of that deal?
It's important. It's good to have continuity. I think that Jameer was also looking for that, making somewhere his home, and obviously credit to our coaching staff and Corey, and just our organization as a whole, making them feel welcome and making them feel that it's a place that he wants to stay for a long period of time. So it was nice to sign the 2-year deal. Those are always good, especially when you're talking about someone that's a core player on your team.
Now, the other big move recently, Mr. O'Day, is the fact that you acquired Jake Mayer from Calgary. Can you take me through the process and the decisions when it came to making that move, and then eventually, of course, having the opportunity to re-sign him?
After we identified, what we wanted to do at quarterback, it's one of those situations where do you wait to free agency to talk to somebody, or is there a possibility for you to, make a trade? The team that, probably isn't bringing them back gains something in the draft pick, and then we have exclusive rights to talk to them for an extended period of time before free agents. So kind of went back and forth with it, to be honest, and just decided to reach out to Calgary and see if they'd be willing to do it. And then once we agreed to the draft pick, it's kind of just a no-brainer for us to get a chance to talk to him. And still some risk there, being able to get him signed before free agency, but we felt the the reward was worth the risk.
So obviously roster construction is well underway. From your standpoint, what positions are you looking to address right now?
Sure. I think offensively, I'll start offensively. We're pretty, we're in a pretty good place offensively, just with the number of guys that we have under contract or that we've signed back. A large list of the starters will be back from last year. If I had a position that we would be looking at to still do some work on, would be Canadian O linemen. Usually you want to have a good group of those guys, especially with the amount of injuries that we've had on the offensive line the last number of years. But we still got some work to do there. On defense, we're still working on some of the free agents. I think if you look at our defensive line, it's an area where what's our plan there on the defensive line, and where will we go there? We've got a number of potential free agents that are still free agents that we're working through, and that would probably be an area that we'll look to address either in free agency, whether it's from our negotiation list or whether it's from the draft.
Whether you're entering a game or building a roster, there's obviously a game plan. And with that game plan, there's improvisation that comes along with it. Is that the same when you're negotiating a salary? You have a game plan with someone when it comes to a contract negotiation, and then there's an improvisation. Like, how does that work?
Well, I think what you do, at least how I do it, is when we decide on kind of players we want to offer contracts back, you kind of try to figure out what the value or what the cost would be to retain the player. And it always changes, Dave. It's never what you think. You try to make your best guess from the information you have of kind of where the player would sit. But you don't actually know until you get into it with the agents. Agents are always communicating with every team, so they have an idea of what the player's value is, and then ultimately, sometimes you got to pivot and make changes. And this amount, but it's going to be much higher than then you may pivot and say, okay, maybe we need to shift where we're allocating our salary cap money to. So it does change quite a bit as you go through the process. You ultimately develop a plan in the beginning, and then as you gather information, which is a big part of it, trying to gather as much information you can from players and agents, then you're kind of deciding on how your team's going to be set up. And sometimes there's more availability of certain positions in free agency, so eventually someone's going to fall down, and you can get some value out of some of those players. But it's kind of definitely a fluid situation when you're dealing with cap.
Also, just to build upon, you mentioned the continuity earlier, whether it was with the core of the roster or the coaching staff in general. Having that continuity, and as much as you do year over year, what does that afford you? What is the advantage that affords you?
I think the big thing is when you start training camp, you're just ahead of the game, where everyone's already familiar with everything as small as the buildings you're in for training camp, where you're going. And then obviously the playbook, the installation is kind of second nature for the guys because they've already been through it. And then also the players are familiar with the coaches are familiar with the players, which helps with the team building process. So, when you play next to people that you played with from the year before, it kind of becomes second nature on when what they're going to do in different situations. So experience matters. I know a lot of people are always hoping for the next star to be introduced into our league, which is always great. But we're also looking for continuity with veteran players.
That's going to be signed tonight. Aaron, big fan.
Aaron from the town here, yeah.
So, we don't have enough time. We only got 2 minutes to break. We just heard the story of the rink. You're going to have to try to build a new rink here eventually. That's where a lot of this money is going to go. The story on the current rink is we're going to have to get into that in an hour or two. You learn so much when you start rolling through Canora. You know that there's a mall here.
There is a mall. Yeah, it's got a Trifons in it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Tim Hortons here. We got everything. Don't forget the silent auction items. Patrick Kane fans, you got Vander Kane.
Vander Kane. I was gonna say.
Patrick Kane. Vander Kane fans, you got an Oiler jersey number 91 there. Hockey Day in Sask.ca. You can navigate yourself to the silent auction items. Now, coming up in hour 2 on the program, we are going to have Brett Lauther, kicker of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, talk a little hockey, the big event coming up in Saskatoon, as well as the season for him and looking ahead to 2025. Get his take on the schedule as well. Hopefully, Don Chesney also will join us, who's in the hot stove this evening here at Hockey Day in Saskatchewan in Kenora. It is the All New Sports Cage. We are streaming at sportscage.com and as always on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Back for hour 2 in Canora, Saskatchewan. Hockey Day in Saskatchewan here. It's Brandon and Barney, Colson and Alan back at the ship. Got everything buttoned up. It's a full slate of events. Tomorrow, Sunday, all the info, Hockey Day in SAS.ca. And then you can bid on all the silent auction items. Amazing. The wall here, silent auction items. Marty McSorley coming up in hour 3. He's one of the speakers tonight. And Don Chesney, legendary junior hockey coach from this area, is one of the speakers. He's also joining us right now at the curling rink here. Ches, you made it in. How about those roads? This is just beautiful Saskatchewan. Looks like you're going to a playoff game, eh?
Yeah, well, we're used to this. Geographically, I live right between Yarkton and Malville, the way the crow flies. So we're used to driving on ice. And my wife, she gets pretty worried on icy roads. So we came early. And anybody driving out, just take it easy from about the White Sand River to here. We'd rather be talking to you than about you.
Classic. We got an afternoon shift and on the weekends available. Chaz on CKRM if you're not doing anything.
No, you guys are doing a good job.
Hey, so story goes, you coached here in Canora. That was the junior B team. That was after your stint in Melville.
Yeah, 1995. I was going good in Melville. I brought a goalie in from Slovakia, and he had big expectations, and he was a good kid, but he got homesick, and it just went downhill. My score started to dry up, like sometimes the Leafs do and the Oilers, and I got fired, and I was okay with that. They told me to go back to the ranch and I could feed my cows, so they didn't really feel sorry for me. I had a job, and then I got hooked up with the Canora Cobras, and when I look back now, that was a huge job for me to get back into hockey.
You mentioned recruiting a goalie from Slovakia. What was that like recruiting in the 90s from, overseas like that?
You know what? I'll tell you what happened. I paid a guy in Regina, I forget his name, $500 to bring me a goalie, so that he brought that kid over. And the kid was good. He didn't have no equipment, so we had to buy him all brand new equipment. And he was, I remember him really good. He was almost like a professional gymnast. Before the games, he was kicking balls up and his heels in the air and all that. And he could stop the puck, but like I just said off air, he got homesick and everything went south from there.
You get any $500 back?
No.
What was the league like back then? Junior B league, you think of that Junior B, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. It was tough hockey, good hockey, tough hockey.
Yeah, you know what? It was a little bit before that. Was almost too goonish. It was just like some guys were just looking to fight. But when I come in there were some good teams. The Cinnaboy had a really strong franchise. Old Chick Wolski was there, and he won about 9 championships in a row. And, there was Regina and a few teams. Maple Creek was in. So, it was pretty good hockey when I was there. Now, 30 years later, because I'm involved with the Fort Knox, too, this year, and I helped them scout, and the hockey's really good now. In fact, we played the Quakers a couple of weeks ago, and they had 3 guys that played in the Western League this year. Young guys that were 17 went to Western League teams, got sent down to Junior A, and they just said, no, they're going to go to university and just play for fun. So Junior B's good hockey now. Back in those days, it was half rough, but, I didn't mind that.
Go to We're going to have to go to break here. We got a loose mic. Kes, don't go anywhere.
No, I'm just telling you.
We're back here. Sorry, technical difficulties, right? Live show. You never know what you're going to get. We're live in Canora, Saskatchewan. Barney Shynkaruk, Brandon's going to take a step aside for a sec there. Mike, I should add Don Chesney still with us. So join here. So you talked about coaching in Canora. It kind of rejuvenated your coaching career a little bit. I want to get into Yorkton, and you win a national championship with the Yorkton Terriers, 2014. Does it seem like 11 years already for them?
Yeah, well, when you get into your 70s, it's gone by really quick. And I love it when we come back to things like this and people still remember. And of course, I got my ring on tonight. I'll be flashing a little later on to show everybody. But 11 years goes by quick, and it was an accumulation. I had started coaching out with Brad McHugh and Malvern Millionaires 3 years. Then I was with Norm Johnson with the Pats for just a little bit. And then I was with Doug Headley with the LeBret Eagles for 3-4 years. So to be honest, I kind of took the best out of all of those guys and spun my own style on it. And I kind of knew what I needed to win a national championship. And when I look at the Canadian World Junior this year, really they didn't do a very good job at picking the guys. But I knew that you needed some real keen guys, some salt and pepper guys, a couple guys that maybe some weekends didn't know where they were. You had to have all those kind of guys in order to win a championship. And I was lucky it paid off.
What was that team? What was the makeup of that team? What made you guys so good?
I got to be honest. I mean, I was just a general manager, but I had great coaches. I had Trent Cassan, who later went on was with the Calgary Hetman for 6-7 years. I had Casey O'Brien, Gord Pritchard, who was with the Queen City Sports in Regina. He was helping me, and I had young John Odgers. Jeff Odgers' boy was helping. So I always tried to surround myself with really good guys and let everybody have all their say. Of course, I had to have the final say, and it worked out.
You got to take us through, like, you did the marketing for the team and everything. You're the jack of all trades.
Well, I wanted lots of money, so Lyle Walsh was president then. He said, yeah, we'll give you this money, Chess, but you got to do all the sales. And he knew I could sell because I had worked with Lyle at the GX radio station. And so when they gave me a big bonus on anything over so much money, that's where I made all my money. Because as you know, hockey's kind of like being a radio announcer. It's just more glamorous than it is money-wise.
So what's Don Chesney doing now? You're doing some scouting?
Yeah, I'm scouting for Fort Knox a bit. I help those guys out, Jared Williams and his crew. And I'm working for Dauphin Kings. This is my first year with them full-time, doing all of Saskatchewan. So, I mean, I have a game every night, whether it's AAA, Junior B, U15, U16, U13. Even I watch some seniors. So I love being at the rink, and my wife's pretty patient. She lets me go. And, I got some land out there. I pasture some cows in the summer and sell some hay and living the dream now.
When was the last time you were offered a coaching gig?
You know what? I kind of knew that when I won the Royal Bank Cup, and I had a couple of older friends, like really older guys that were good hockey guys. They phoned me and they said, Chess, guess what? Quit, because they're going to fire you. You're going to come back in 2 years, and then they'll say, because you see how it goes, boys. When you're older and you win, they say you got experience. But as soon as you get old and lose, they kick you out. So I knew that when we won that Royal Bank Cup and I got the ring, I said, I'm done being a GM coach. I'm going to go out on top. And so maybe that's even why you guys rolled me in here tonight. If I would have coached 4 years after and got fired and asked Evander Weyburn, he wouldn't even thought of me. So it was best for me to go out on top.
You hear so many stories about you, and you're like a player's coach. Some of the funny things, we're going to hear a lot of stories tonight in the round table and the hot stove. It's going to be a lot of fun. But if you had an NHL coach over the last years, or one that's third right now, that you would be fit, the same mold, maybe a player's coach, a guy that was fun. Would it be maybe a Bruce Boudreau? He's not working right now. But who would be the Don Chesney of the NHL?
You know what? I'll be honest. When I was 13 years old, my mom put me on the train in Malvo, and sent me down to St. Andrews, New Brunswick on the sea, St. Andrews by the sea. And Scotty Bowman was one of the head instructors. Scotty Bowman, Doug Harvey, if you guys can remember them old names. And Scotty Bowman was amazing. And back at that time, there was a lot of kids there from the States, and they just had money, but they couldn't play hockey. So Scotty was frustrated, and he come up and he blew the whistle, and he said, you know what, half you guys, you're never going to be hockey players, but at least look like one. And I'll never forget that. I was like 13 years old. And just imagine, my mom put me on the train in Malville, 3 days and 3 nights on the train to Moncton. And the farthest before that we'd ever been was Whitewood to a boat sail. So like I had know where the heck we were going. My mom didn't know where she was sending me, but it was a great experience with all the pro guys there.
Whitewood for a bull sail. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so do you know the story about the story of the rink here? That they need a new rink because back in the 50s or 60s, the original one burnt down. Then they built this one right next door to us in 4 months, but they built it basically on top of all the rubble and the old slab. And now there's always been issues in this rink. Did you have that when you were coaching here?
You know what? I didn't know that one, so probably just as well as I did. But no, I never heard that. But I know the town of Canora and surrounding area, when they say they're going to do something, and that'll kind of tie into my little speech tonight. But when they say they're going to do something, they really do it, and that's actually why I'm back here 30 years later.
That is so good. What was the craziest, and what was the Lebret? What was it? The Eagle Dome? Is that what they call it?
The old Eagle Dome. Yeah, it was rocking, and of course we'd get the drummers out. You know, and you would see all the drummers, the native guys drumming, and just pounding those drums. And I remember one time we played Kindersley, and they had no clue what was going on. There were a lot of guys from Calgary on that team, and when those drummers started pounding, like it was 5-0 before they even knew where they were. And I always made sure those drummers went a little extra hard, and they were yelling and screaming. And, the drum thing is a big thing in the native culture. And it helped us win for sure, because it was just a big-time advantage for us.
You said you still kind of follow senior hockey. Speaking of...
You watch, you say some senior hockey?
Yeah, I watch these here, like the Canora Cobras and Churchbridge, this league over here, the South Sask, I think it's called here. Southeast it's called.
Are you following the Round Lake Bears and what they're doing from Ochap at all?
Well, you know what? I was actually, funny thing you brought that up. I was at a funeral last week. Danny McKay, my old trainer from Lebret Eagles, passed away, and I was asked to speak down there. And Winston Bear, he phoned me in the summer, wanted me to go down and coach the Round Lake Bears. But you know what? I kind of promised my wife I'm going to take her on a holiday, so I didn't want to wreck that. So I had to say no to the Round Lake Bears for this year anyway.
That's breaking news here on the sports page. John Chesney. John Chesney was asked.
Well, you know what? Probably one of the craziest things over the years was I was coaching Malville Millionaires, and we were up in Flin Flon. And back in those days, Flin Flon had terrible teams. They were just trying to get in the playoffs. And I'd look at the schedule, and I could see, they're 9th place, 10th place team. I hate going up there, because in those days, the old league, they didn't pay for refs to go up there. They just used the local refs. And those guys would, for every penalty Flin Flon got, you'd get 5 or 6. And one night I was up there, and we had 12 penalties to 0, and it was just getting crazy. So I took my cowboy boot. I used to wear snakeskin cowboy boots back in the day. I took it off, and I fired it across the ice and just missed the referee's head by about maybe a foot. They said 6 inches, but I think it was more like a foot, 14 inches. And clunk, and then, of course, they threw me out, and I was going across in my sock and feet, and that was kind of hilarious. A lot of people didn't think I got the boot back, but I did, because there was the guy that ran the rink's name was Beastie, and he apparently was an old Hell's Angel. And I actually, over the years, I befriended him pretty good, and I'd give him a millionaire pin and maybe a scarf, and always chatting it up with him. So when he seen what happened, he got my boot and brought her back to me. But I just think now, like that was 1993, if you threw a cowboy boot across the rink and almost hit a ref in the head, you'd probably be done forever. But Wayne Cardew said, I'm going to suspend you 3 games and fine you 300, but we won't take no money out of the account. So I just missed 3 games, and that's when the rink was full and things were rocking. And now the way hockey is, they've kind of shut all that down.
All right, I don't know if you can hear me out there, but that's Don Chesney. He's going to be speaking tonight. We'll take a quick break. We're doing Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. Thanks so much, Don.
Yeah, see you later.
On 20 CKR.
Don Chesney joining us on the Sports Cage Live from Canora, Saskatchewan. Lots of fun. Hockey Day in Saskatchewan, Canora style. Don't forget hockeydayinsask.ca. Navigate your way to the silent auction. Jerseys galore, team signed jerseys, NHL, WHL, Team Canada. Tickets, Winnipeg Jets against the Devils, Winnipeg Jets against the Rangers. An awesome guitar for all you slashers out there. A nice little prize pack from the Calgary Flames. Yeti cooler, travel mugs, John Deere stuff, everything. Maddox Schultz, that's an interesting one, eh, Buzz? You got a Sask first. Maddox Schultz signed jersey. It's could be the first jersey purchased of young Maddox Schultz.
All the like hockey card enthusiast type collectors. That's one you might take a little bit of a risk on and put some money out there, and maybe one day it might be worth something.
SJHL, word was from the commish, all games are a go tonight. We got Weyburn down the road in Melville. Humboldt, they're taking on the Battlefords down the road in Yorkton from where we are, actually closer. Melfort's in town. That's a big clash. Maybe people are kind of grappling. Melfort, Melville, Canora, triangle tonight. Lots of stuff going on. Larange's in Estevan, Kindo's in Flin Flon. Regina Pats host the Edmonton Oil Kings tonight under the orange tops right here on 620 CKRM. Pre-game show starts at 6:30. Play-by-play at 7 o'clock. Swift is in Prince Albert. Red Deer's at the Saskatoon Blades. Calgary welcomes Medicine Hat. That is a game. Curious how that one goes down. 2 of the Central Division wagons. Lethbridge and Wenatchee, Tri-City, Vancouver. Prince George is at Spokane, and Seattle at Kelowna. AAA midget last night. What a game. Moose Jaw 6-5 over the Pat Canadians at an almost pack C6. Pats are in Yorkton, or Pats are in Canora tomorrow. The Pat Canadians taking on Yorkton right here for Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. Junior B tonight, we got Prince Albert in Regina to take on the Silver Foxes. 7:45. Remember, no concession at the Wickenheiser Arena. Senior hockey, there's a lot going on. We'll have a senior hockey report coming up in a bit. Brandon and I are going to do that live. I think there's a few cancellations out there. So if you got one, 936-6262, Colson will relay us that info. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. It's Friday. Don't cook. Get Western Pizza, the Greek favorites you love, and the food, all the toppings. Call your local Western Pizza and see what you can get cooking tonight from them. Brett Lauther is joining us. Saskatchewan Rough Rider kicker, sniper in the winter season when it comes to hockey. Lauther, did you just get off the ice again today? Did you just get off the ice?
No, I wish I was playing. I haven't been on the ice since I seen you.
You got the big game coming up, right? February 1st. Belcher Center in Saskatoon, the Winter Classic for the Rough Rider Foundation. Your team versus Chris Getzlaff's team. Now, is Joe coaching your team?
I believe so.
Wow. And then Kian Schaefer-Baker is coaching Getzlaff's team. What's the game plan here? Because there's the draft the night before. Is that how it shakes down?
Yeah, we'll have to see how the rosters shake out, and then maybe get together the night before over a cocktail, come up with a game plan, and it's more of a surviving out there over tactical strategy.
Now, who are some of the guys that are going to be playing? Like any pre-scout on who you want to maybe get on your side of things, or who are some of the guys that are going to be wheeling out there?
I mean, Getz is always a great player, and his brother there last year, obviously, Ryan's resume speaks for itself. A few of the Rider guys can play as well, and then there's always some surprises as well with different sponsors putting in different players every year. So might have to pre-scout a little in the warm-up and then just figure it out from there.
Noah's there. We had him on the program yesterday. He's a big man. We try and maybe take him, put him in front of the net.
Yeah, I think I was against him last year, and I just did everything I could to stay away from him. Don't want to run into him out there. He's a pretty big fella, and yeah, there's a few big guys out there. Even some of the former NHL guys we've had, and yeah, it's just I'm doing my best to avoid and stay alive out there.
How much hockey do you get in? You mentioned a Barney you haven't played since the last time you talked to him, but how often do you get out in the off season?
I wish I got out more. I think the last couple of years, 1 or 2 nights a week. This year, a lot less so I'll probably be going in the game a little rusty, but I've probably been out like 5 or 6 times now.
Saturday, February 1st at the Basler Center. Tickets $25 per. You can go on and find all the information. The Regina, the Saskatchewan Rough Rider Foundation. Let's get to football now. Off season. Is there a lot, like, where are you right now? Are you doing a lot of training? Do you kick much in the winter?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season, so I kind of have the same routine now, especially being a little bit older, and it's kind of worked for me. So I don't kick in December at all. Kind of, get in the gym a little bit, but more or less just maintaining. Just kind of like to enjoy December. Did some travel this year. Got down to Florida and out to the Grey Cup and back to Nova Scotia. And we were at my wife's farm for Christmas, her family farm. And then now that we're back here, been getting on the ice, back in the gym, starts ramping up, start hitting balls in February, and then slowly pick it up through March and April.
Where's the wife's farm? What's the family farm?
They're in Alberta. I guess shout out to Loss, Alberta. Basically population their family, so not too many people know where that is, but it's just over an hour from Medicine Hat, middle of nowhere, but always a good time to get out there and on the farm, see her family and friends and stuff.
Well, schedule came out finally. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's nice that it's out. Obviously can start making some plans for guys in the upcoming season who are going to be playing. I think we have a great balanced schedule this year. It's nice to see a lot less Thursdays. Kind of we were in the longer travel out east, and teams coming off bye weeks, so that was a little tricky last year. But I think we have a pretty good schedule, and from the player side of things, I think it's going to be better for player safety too, not having as many short weeks.
Right on. Well, we will. Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. We'll be watching February the 1st. Hopefully, you get a couple twirls in before and get the legs moving. But yeah, we'll see you down the road in Saskatoon on February 1st.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Right on. Brett Lauther, Saskatchewan Rough Riders kicker. Nice to have him on the program as we broadcast here live from Canora Hockey Day in Saskatchewan here on the SportsCage.
Welcome back, Canora, Saskatchewan, the site of the SportsCage today, because it is Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. It's the banquet tonight. Doors are going to fire open here at 6 o'clock. Marty McSorley, one of the speakers, the hot stove, and Don Chesney, who you just heard from on the SportsCage, is also here tonight in support of Canora and raising funds, trying to build a new rink here, the silent auction. Hockey Day in Saskatchewan, Hockey Day in Sask.ca. We talked about the AAA that we were at last night, hockey game, Pat Canadians and Moose Jaw. What a game at C6. Tonight, Regina Pats hosting the Edmonton Oil Kings. Pats coming off a win against Red Deer, 6:30 here on 620 CKRM. Puck drops at 7 p.m. SJHL still, games are all a go. Travel safe if you're going to watch any of these. Down the road in Yorkton, Melfort's in town. Two of the best teams in the SJ clashing there. Weyburn is in Melville. Humboldt's in the Battlefords. Larange is in Estevan. Kindersley is in Flin Flon. Your take on some CFL news on Ed Hervey saying to Eugene Lewis, go and test the waters.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's interesting, right, to say it publicly, especially like in the media. That's, you expect those conversations to happen maybe behind closed doors, but to go through the media is kind of an interesting tactic, I felt. But I guess he's, one way to go about it.
Like we talked to Farhan, should the riders be kicking those tires? You're a rider guy. Like, what do you think? Is that, I guess, depends on how much it's worth.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the receiver position is pretty solid for the Riders. I think they've got a pretty good core. I mean, you'd always use a guy like that and you'd find a spot, but I don't think that would be their number one position to go after.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Pretty loaded there, right? They got some depth.
People are grappling with it. Earlier this week, Dave Thomas is following the winter meetings in South Carolina, of all places that they had him there, the CFL, a little bit odd. Ed Hervey, he caught up with him.
Ed Hervey is the new general manager of the Edmonton Elks, and you've been on the job for a couple of months now. Are things at the point that you thought that they would be at this point in time?
Yeah, I think with respect to going in with the plan and knowing which ways I wanted to execute it. Obviously, there was a plan prior to hiring Mark, and then there's the adjustment of the plan, or including his input and with respect to how we want to execute a plan with respect to the roster. Obviously, Trey Ford is being the biggest target for us. I think that was one of the key signings for us going into the job, was to, I guess, in some ways, for lack of a better word, persuade him that the opportunity in Edmonton was not only the best one for him, but wasn't going to be anything close to what he lived during his short time there.
So you've got a thrower. Do you have a catcher? Of course, Geno Lewis, the marquee name on your roster right now, a pending free agent. Do you see him coming back and playing with the Edmonton Elks next season?
Not looking to do that before free agency. I'm sure he's going to get to the window. We'll let the market reset itself with the receivers. We have more pressing needs on our roster. I don't know, how else to explain it. There's the resources. I put my resources in other areas, and when with respect to, I think Geno is an excellent receiver, but I think the receiver market is a bit, we're not paying that kind of money for receivers in Edmonton.
So if you don't allocate dollars to Geno, where do you put those dollars?
Look at where some of the positions on defense, I think, right, without giving away, who and what. Just look at some of the areas on the defensive side of the ball, right? I think our defensive line is an area that, is under the microscope coming in and speaking with Mark and our staff. It's pretty obvious that that's an area that we can look to improve. I think our offensive line could use a player or two. And, in our back end, a little more experience back there can help in some areas. So I think that's kind of it. But, if we're sitting here talking, I think when you look at the defensive line, obviously that's an area that is an area that really has been, hasn't been that good, in the last year.
There he is, Ed Hervey. And what do you think about the Elks this year?
I don't know. I don't formulate too many opinions until at least free agents are all signed and training camps are on the court. Even training camp, people get too excited too early, Like, I don't know. I'm more of a ask me in May, end of May, early June kind of guy.
Hi there, though.
I don't know. Like, I want him so bad to succeed. I just think it's a great story. I think it would be fantastic if he could take the reins, but I just am not sold,
Yeah.
But I feel like he never really got a fair shake with the past regime, and I think that's why I root for him. Is waiting for that Canadian quarterback to take that next step and kind of show what they can do, but it just hasn't happened. So.
And then Cody Fajardo, he's got something to prove still, but he's there to kind of mentor maybe a bit. So I don't know. Edmonton's got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of smoke around the Elks right now in Edmonton land. Rider schedule released yesterday. You go to your fair share of games. I don't mind it. I like the gaps as far as the team goes and where the team's going to be strenuous. The strain on the bodies and all that. It seems better than last year. Odd that they're playing that's how it worked out. They're playing the same night that Keith Urban's playing the Brandt Center.
Yeah, park at I don't know where he'd want to park that night, but you think that would have come up in the blocked off dates maybe. What time's the ride? Is it the same time?
No, I think the Rider game is a little bit earlier that day. I can't remember which one. Sharky was all over it. September 13th. That is 5 p.m. game. The Keith.
He's probably not hitting the stage before 8:30 himself, right? 9 o'clock.
9.
Yeah.
He doing push-ups and sit-ups at 8:30, getting a swole on. Yeah, he's a popular one. That's going to be a zoo around there. I like it, except the Saturday, August 16th game, the 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That could be so hot.
East side's going to be leaking for sure. Yeah, I had one of those this past year. I was on the east side in an afternoon summer game, and it's fairly warm. How many Thursday games? That's always a hot button issue with Rider fans.
One.
For the traveling kind.
Game 1 of the season. The standalone Thursday, June 5th against the ever-popular Ottawa Red Blacks.
That's pretty favorable. The one Thursday, I don't think there's any short weeks. You kind of alluded to that. I think somebody said the only short week was like Labor Day to Banjo Bowl Saturday, which I would argue isn't even really a short week.
And then they have the travel where they go June 14th on a Saturday. They're in Hamilton, and then they play the next Friday in Toronto. So do they just stay out in the big smoke?
Yeah, I don't know. Might go to one of those universities and practice out there. I think they've done that in the past, actually. How they say that, I think they have. Probably
a dollars and cents thing. See where it lands. All right, there's some CFL news. We'll have more coming up in a bit. We're in Canora, Southeast Hockey League, big senior hockey country here. Let's get into the senior hockey report.
Time now for the Saskatchewan Senior Hockey Report on the All New SportsCage. Brought to you by Future Ford in Melville. New units arriving daily and premium used vehicles to fit any budget. The future is Future Ford. FutureFord.ca and CoolBet.co. Embrace the unexpected at CoolBet.co. Free to play casino games, sports odds, and more.
Yes, it is that time. We don't know. We know the one game is canceled. Is it Theodore and Rocanville?
In Theodore, not a go tonight. So obviously the roads haven't improved in the last 4 hours that we've been in the curling rink in Canora. But yeah, that one's canceled as far as we know. But lots of games around the province, and safe travels to anybody who's headed out, because I'm pretty sure this road stuff is all throughout kind of the province, right? It's not just to this area. So safe travels to anyone heading out this evening.
Absolutely. I just went to CoolBet, and I was looking at some of the senior hockey odds. I don't know where you wanna run down and start, but we got the Carnduff Mydale. That's a Mydale's plus 450. The underdog. Do they cover a little 4-point spread though?
Well, Mydale's last time out, they lost 10-0 on home ice to the Redverse Rockets, who's a powerhouse in that Big Six league. So I think the Mydale boys are going to keep it close tonight at home at the Harry O Memorial Arena.
Yeah.
By the way, where we are here in Canora, home to the Monday Nooner number 4 ranked team in the province right now.
You have that top 10 handy if I throw it to you in a bit?
I do.
Okay.
And also, Carnduff's kind of a swear word around here right now, because those two teams, Canora and Carnduff, round 1 of Senior B provincials, as announced last week with those draws.
They are starting to get a hate on for each other. In the Long Lake, plus 325, the Lanigan Pirates it's a tough one. They travel into Wynyard this evening.
Flanagan just won earlier in the week. They had lost 10 games in a row, but they were like 5-4, 6-4, like close games. But Wynyard's kind of secured second place in that league. So I don't know. Let's see if Flanagan can't make it a couple in a row out there.
John Keane says, though, for Flanagan, it always depends on what shifts. The shifts from the mines, right? Who's working nights, who's picking up some extra OT, all that. In the Qu'Appelle Valley Highway Hockey League tonight, Balcarres traveling into Raymore. That could be the game of the weekend, especially in that league.
Yeah, as far as that goes, Balcarres has won 2 in a row against the 2 top teams in the league, Lumsden and Raymore. So they're riding a 6-game heater. So that's another big one tonight against Raymore it's in Raymore at the launch pad. So that'll be a good one there. See if Balcarres can keep it going. Another big one I got my eyes on. Kenaston is home to Dinsmore in the Sask Valley. I think that's a big one. Also, yeah, that's tonight. I was gonna mention one, but it's not till next week. We can cross that bridge next week.
I think Colson, if you're watching the stream, we're gonna have it. Let's get into what happened in Rosetown between Robert and Rosetown in the Prairie Men's Crossroads. Yeah, the Crossroads Hockey League. A vicious cross check. If you're watching the stream, it's going to come up at center ice. There's a big hit there, and then everyone's hooting, hollering. Something happened. That's not good. And then right around center, and like one of the most vicious cross checks to the head. Did you hear what the punishment has been?
No, I looked on the website. The website doesn't have any like page that shows suspensions or anything like that. Like a lot of leagues will have a tab that shows all the suspensions and everything. But I don't know. Like I would be surprised if he plays again this year, but I also don't know if it'll be that aggressive on him. Like pretty gutless move, I would say. But just, I don't know. It really unfortunate that it wasn't worse, right? The outcome wasn't worse. Like the guy got up and everything was good, but
one of the worst ones you've ever seen.
Well, I think we live in an age where all this stuff gets captured on social media, right? Or Live Barn, or go back and watch it on one of these streaming services. I can't imagine this stuff didn't happen throughout the 90s and early 2000s and everything. Like, I just think we live in a world where it's accessible to see these things. 5 years ago, this stuff might have happened and it wouldn't have got 3 million views on X, right? So, yeah.
The other, speaking of viral videos, the one that we had on the Monday Nooner, and then Chicklets had it, and Sarah Valley had it, and all that, was the father-son fight pre-Christmas between Purdue and Langham. Chris and his son
Tyler.
And they play again this weekend. They go again.
The rematch, right? The father versus son fight that happened in the Sask Prairie Hockey League. Yeah, we'll see. Like I saw an interview with the dad, or a quote in a online article where he said they weren't planning on going at it again, but we'll see. Saturday night, I think it's in Purdue, or in Langham, I think, actually. But we'll see if dad and the son decide that they want that viral fame again.
I think if they both address, people are going to expect it. So if one of them maybe doesn't, that would be the only. Yeah, that thing took off.
People are still talking about it, though, right? Oh, right. We came in here. The first guy we talked to, he said, that father versus son? He's like, I hate to admit it, but I'm related to those guys here in Canora. So, you're in small town Saskatchewan, and someone's related to someone who's knows someone. It's 6 degrees of separation.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So I alluded to it. What do you got the top 10? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but if you have it handy, what was the top 10 senior teams in the province this week?
Yeah. So this week we had the Kenaston Blizzards in at number 10, the Lashburn Flyers number 9, the Rocanville Tigers, mentioned them just down the road here. They were number 8, the Moosomin Rangers 7, Lumsden Monarchs 6, 5 was Davidson. They lost their first game of the year earlier this week to drop from number 2. Number 4, right where we sit here, Canora, the Cobras. getting maybe a little Nooner bias. The fact that this is the weekend of Hockey Day, they bump up to number 4. 3 was the Kyle Elks. 2, the Redvers Rockets, yet to lose in regulation. And the only one of 2, I should say, undefeated teams in the province. Also just down the road in a roundabout way, the Foam Lake Flyers, 14-0 in the Long Lake Hockey League. They've been ranked the number 1 team in senior hockey since November 24th. So almost 2 calendar months for the Flyers at the top.
I wonder if it's the old curse, though, being there too long. Although, Keniston, they were there for a long time. They've double bannered, I don't know how many years in a row now. But the people of Foam Lake are excited about what they got going on there this year.
Hard not to be, right? They got some local guys that have come back, some guys that have played some pro and some semi-pro back there. Just a really deep, well-rounded team. What I would love to see, Canora here get out of the first round against Carnduff, and they would get a matchup more than likely with Foam Lake, which would be fun to see for the people in the pierogi belt, as they call it out here.
Provincials, I think first round has to be any categories that have first rounds. They have to be wrapped up February 10th-ish.
Yeah, around then. I think every bracket's maybe a little bit different, so there's still some time. I don't think we've got any provincial games scheduled until at least the last couple days of the month. So we're still 2 weeks away from, I think, any games actually happening.
February 18th is where a lot of those first round ones have to wrap up. We were talking to people here, there's just over the years, the different categories and how tough it is to win. And it is. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on schedules when we hear them for provincial hockey. And it's a senior hockey report. It's here on the Sports Cage every Friday. It's brought to you by coolbet.co as well as Future Ford in Melville. The future is Future Ford. Get used units, scope it out online and check them out. And again, if anybody's got any cancellations that we haven't heard about, text it in. Colson will relay it to me. We can pass it on, or Colson, you just jump in. 936-6262. Travel extremely safe if you got to go out and play some senior tonight. And if you're going to watch, travel safe. The roads are dicey, and there's not a lot of buses, right? It's a lot of guys all packing in 1/2 ton, getting it done. You drove here. There was a little white knuckle action at times.
There was a couple times where the number 10 there around Yorkton, all of a sudden, like the whole right lane was like a foot of snow. It's like, okay, we're gonna have to stop and put the 4-ways on and just see how this plays out. But we made her.
We did. Travel safe. If you're in the city, maybe go watch the Pats game tonight. Edmonton in town, SJ Towns. You got hockey as well. Keep us updated. 936-6262. Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. Information's at hockeydayinsask.ca. If you want to bid on any of the silent auction items, they're all up in there. We're having fun. We got Marty McSorley coming up in hour 3. It is the Sports Cage streaming from Canora on sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in. It's Barney and Brandon live from Hockey Day in Saskatchewan in Canora. It is hockeydayinsask.ca for all the information. A number of things going on tomorrow and Sunday at the rink. Tonight is the gala here at the Curling Center. Hockey starting at 8:30 in the morning. Then 1 o'clock, the Female Rebels, AAA U18 ladies against Battleford. And then 4 o'clock tomorrow, Yorkton Maulers, Regina Pat Canadians, AAA loop. And then 7:30, it's going to be a busy place. The ice guy is going to be busy. 7:30, we got the Yorkton Terriers, Notre Dame Hounds Junior A. Full thing on Sunday. All the information, like I said, hockeydayinsask.ca. Brandon, you said you've been bidding on you can also get to the silent auction from that website. You've been bidding on a few items. Let me guess. I noticed there's an Edmonton Oilers and Toronto ticket package.
I haven't gotten that deep into it. I'm currently the high bidder on a Oilers extra large quarter zip. $29.
It is. That's a nice tarp.
That's a third of the price.
You know you're in Canora, Saskatchewan, and just in a beauty town when the silent auction has 20 dozen pierogies. Its current bid is $101 for that.
140 pierogies.
Yeah.
Quick math guy.
And then right below the pierogies, if you're scrolling through, is the autographed Quinn Hughes jersey. Those two go hand in hand. A kid from Eastern Seaboard in the United States and pierogies. 275. Those bids are going to go up all night. There are some great one. Team signed jerseys. Vegas Golden Knights is the one I'm eyeballing right there. Although the Team Canada, you said from Connor Bedard's second year or first year?
Yeah, it would have been 22. So that would have been the last time they won, I think. I think that was the year that he scored that big goal against Slovakia. Maybe it was the goalie that Ches recruited, not sure. But he went to the backhand there in the quarterfinal. That was the team because he wore number 16. And I saw he was signed with a 16. So kind of a unique piece of hockey memorabilia there. A lot of other great stuff. If you're a collector, I mean, this is a great little auction to support hockey in Saskatchewan, right? That's what it's all about here. Great job by the organizing committee. Talking to some of the folks on the committee, they told us this process started in June, and they've been going all in, building this thing up to what we have this weekend, which is hopefully going to be a pretty big success with, 6 figures donated, built, raised here to help initial plans of a new rink here, which I think they desperately need. They're just kind of in the early process of figuring things out. So.
And it's just one of those towns. As soon as you get in here, everybody is so friendly. Everybody wants to help out. It's the best part is you forgot socks and then you forgot earbuds. So you've been to the Red Apple in Canora twice today.
Giving me a ride, helping me out. I think I've been offered homebrew 3 times already, and I don't know if I'm allowed. I don't know if that stuff's legal or not, but. Great community, great people. I didn't realize this community, 2,400 people around that. Like, I didn't realize it was kind of a hustling little small town. Main Street still got a bit of a vibe to it. And obviously Good Spirit Lake in the summer just down the road is a hot spot. So it's a nice little part of the province I've never been to till today.
That's it's a perfect segue into our clutch performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson, Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. You call 781-1077. The clutch performers, everybody, and I know we're going to leave a number of people out, but just the people that we've been involved with so far here: Parker, Cheech, Stacy, and Dean. You said just like
Aaron, right? The town guy. Nice nooner too.
Yeah. Just crazy helpful, telling us stories in the original rink and all that. And like you said, everybody's so helpful. Okay, I want to also clutch performer. Last night is when you go the game that we watched. Like I said, goaltending was unreal. I'm going to give one of them to Luke McKechnie in net for the Moose Jaw Warriors against the Pat Canadians. 25 saves only. Had to make some clutch ones, and also Taylor Tabashniak, the goalie for the Regina Pat Canadians, because he in the first period he made 1 save.
Really, yeah. That's one of those. You mentioned the Moose Jaw goalie. That was one game I thought could have really gotten away from Moose Jaw early there, down 3-0. Like they could have just, not our night, move on to the next one. But pretty gutsy performance there. You mentioned the goalie; he held him in it, and a couple other guys too. That it's at 91 for Moose Jaw. He's got like 60 points, leading the way.
Yeah, he's. I was impressed with a number of Moose Jaw kids. Number 91 goes by the name of Ryan Gibbs. Hudson Sayers is 94. Gibbs. Ryan Gibbs, Barry's boy. One goal, 1 assist, only like 2 points, but all over the ice.
I think he's second in the league in scoring behind Maddox, actually. All right, 56 or 60 points now.
Carson Dykert had 1 goal, 2 assists for the Winmar Warriors. Regina Pat Canadians, I mentioned this earlier too. Ryan Ulmer, 1 goal, 1 assist. A solid coming off playing with Flin Flon and Humboldt on the weekend. And then Jonah Sievertson, 3 assists for the Pat Canadians. Pat Canadians up 3-0 early. Moose Jaw comes back. There's our clutch performers for Nick's Service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson, Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077. 77. How's your bid? Was that a bid that I just watched?
I got outbid, but I got time. I got time. No on the quarter zip. I get on the pierogies. We'll see. I gotta as soon as we're done the show here, I'm gonna really scroll through it, and I'm coming home with something. Put it that way. I'm not coming home empty-handed.
HockeyDayInsask.ca, and you can navigate your way to the silent auction. The other food item, and it looks the ground beef steaks. Current bid was like 40 pounds, $400.
Beef's expensive. Like, go to the grocery store, see what that would cost you, and it wouldn't be the same quality as those local producers that donated that either.
Do they have any?
Plus, it's a good. All the money goes to a good cause too. So,
do they have any freezers at the Red Apple where you were?
I think we could put the beef in the back of my truck, and it would be good till we get home. I got a couple totes back there. Come home with 40 pounds. How many pounds?
Pounds.
40 pounds.
Four steaks. So $400. Maddox Schultz signed jersey, Vegas Golden Knights, and I missed this one, $1,000 WestJet voucher.
There's $750, right? Is what it's at. I could probably take that to $850, $900 maybe. Steal of a deal. I'm gonna travel eventually anyway.
Kid Hellbrook and Burke Jewelry. There's a lot going on. It's great. Colson, any updates on cancellations of games? Anybody sending us anything? We haven't heard. I heard the highway south of Regina. I just saw a picture. Highway 6 south, I think. Looked actually pretty clear. So good job to the road crews out there today, scramble and grind, and it was probably a grindy day for them.
Is that U15 game going on in Weyburn tonight, or did that get?
That's where I got the picture from. Yeah,
the show will go on.
Weyburn levels. Don't forget, if you got a dangler, somebody in your community, senior hockey, minor hockey, just going above and beyond, or a kid, maybe he's got his first hat trick or he's planning all that, send it in to 936-6262, just the word dangler, and you're going to be entered to win a $100 gift card from the Canadian Brew House. Perfect place to watch sports, NFL coming up this weekend, NHL, whatever, especially if you're sprinkling. Wing Wednesday, doesn't matter what day, great menu, 2 locations in Regina and 1 in Moose Jaw. Have you done anything on the NFL games yet?
No, I haven't. That'll be a tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. First game would be tomorrow, 3:30 or something, right? So
Kansas City Chiefs and Houston Texans. The spread, those are high spreads for.
What is it? 6.5?
Yeah. It's at 8.5. Like KC, we talked to Farhan. We're gonna hear that interview again coming up here in a bit. He said the weather won't be that bad. Like when Miami went in there last year, like that was, the balls were almost deflating. It was so cold. So not quite there. 8.5. Washington, Detroit. 9.5. Commanders.
Commanders seem like the team that'll hang. Like they might even make it close at the end, possibly. I feel like they put up points quick. And like I think I would take them with points. Keep it close-ish.
Rams +6 against Philadelphia. This is where I always get sucked in, the kind of recency shininess. The Rams, they look so good against Minnesota. Or did Minnesota look that bad? I still want to take them, though, because I really don't like Philly.
Yeah, I'd like it more at 7.5. That 6.5 is I don't know. The Rams are one of those teams, though, that I think could win that game outright.
If you went money line, +230.
I'm not saying they will, but they could, right?
For sure. A low over under there too. A lot of these playoff games are sitting 41.5. Kansas City, Houston. Houston starts putting up some numbers there. That's a real interesting football game.
Yeah, hopefully they can keep it close, maybe score early and stay in the game. Otherwise, it'll be Saturday afternoon siesta after tonight in Canora. I'll just sleep through that one.
If you had to sprinkle right now, either way, on Baltimore or Buffalo.
Is it pretty much Pick 'em.
1 point. Baltimore is minus 112. Buffalo's minus 104.
I would take Buffalo at home, right? That's the difference for me. I'll take the home team in a coin flip.
51.5 point spread there.
Yeah, that's like 27-24.
Over under,
27-24 doesn't even get it done for you either, right? That's 51. So that's somebody's almost got to hit 30 to make that happen.
It's amazing, like how they set these lines and do everything, isn't it?
They're sharp. Yeah,
And
Yeah,
those like right on it or so close.
Watch, it'll be
like,
27-24 on the under.
Cheech cleaned himself up. Hey, there's our guy. How's it going? Fun? Oh yeah.
Not yet, yeah.
You watching NFL this weekend? Who are you betting on? Okay. Well, that's what we're talking. Yeah, I don't know either. I'm looking for advice in the mean streets of Canora right now. Who to take? No Bills. Yeah. Don't forget tonight. Got a path in action under the orange top. Edmonton in town. 6:30 pregame show is right here on 620 CKRM. And Dante's got the play-by-play at 7 o'clock. Swift traveling into Prince Albert. Red Deer is in Saskatoon. And then this one's a dandy. Medicine Hat, Calgary.
That's central.
Does it remind you of like you used to do the in-house announcement for the Pats? Oh, the arms race. There was a 2017, 16, or
17 or 18, right? 18 maybe. Like Moose Jaw and Regina and Swift were all just powerhouses, and it was like, okay, well, somebody's got to be out in the first round, right? Like you're giving away a lot to possibly not get out of the first round, but yeah.
I wish I knew more about those teams.
Who's the favorite in the East? Like who's? I guess with the
Round
playoff format now, it's kind of Like there's so many good teams out of Alberta, right? But who in Saskatchewan has the best chance of making a run, or does nobody in Saskatchewan?
Grindy. PA's the grindy team. Brandon has been stricken with tough injuries this year. Blades, Sellers. I still hope they get into the playoffs, just to get around, keep the faithful excited up there. Swifty. Like if you're considering them East in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, they are Saskatchewan
as well.
But Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Calgary, and there's paying hefty. They paid hefty, like Lethbridge. I think that's the team from what I know, just because of Jeff Hunger.
Mm-hmm. Can win you for some games.
Ghana Pats hockey here on 620 CKRM. Time for a quick break. It is the All New SportsCage. We're streaming at sportscage.com. Things are getting real in Canora, Saskatchewan. Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. The banquet tonight. The hot stove with Marty McSorley and Don Chesney. We had Ches on earlier. Joining us here live now, the man, the myth, the legend, Marty McSorley. You come in yesterday. This is just the kind of guy you are.
Brandon talked about it earlier. You came in yesterday for playing a senior game, and you just went on the bench, kind of helped coach and just shooting the breeze.
Well, I had a good chance of getting some moonshine if I go on the bench with those guys, right? So, no, I'm just kidding. No, you know what? I grew up on a farm. I grew up in a small town. I've got 6 brothers. They played in so many different leagues. Got suspended, but for most of them. But I really enjoy that. So I come into Saskatchewan and Alberta and a lot of the towns that are doing so many wonderful things. And I get a chance to. The guys are real. You get in the locker room, you sit with the guys, and you feel like you're at home.
Well, you mentioned that the story. I think you tell one of the stories tonight. Like it was Lloydminster a few years ago, and a great story about you're going to do an event there. And everyone's like, "Oh no, the rink blew over, outdoor rink, stuff like that." And you're like, "No, they'll get it done."
Yeah, absolutely. I was riding in with one of the gentlemen from Scotiabank. He's from Toronto. Nice, really good young man. Worked hard. We did breakfast television in Edmonton, and I was going out to Lloyd. What a wonderful event out there. And we stopped at like 3 different banks. Well, he got a phone call saying, "Oh my God, there was a big windstorm last night. All the light standards blew over. The boards are all ruined. The whole rink is ruined. We're not going to be able to do our outside events, our alumni game, and everything else." And I looked at him and said, "Oh no, we'll play." And he's like, no, you don't understand. I said, no, you don't understand. And he goes, no. So we got there, and all the local guys, they put the calls out. The cranes were there. The lights were up. The welders were there. All the guys that needed to be there to do the job, the local community put the word out, and it got done. And he looked at me and said, how did you know? I said, I know the people. And that to me is just wonderful about me coming up here.
You come from a big family. You talked about farmers, like with 10 kids or something.
10 kids. Yeah. Got my ass whooped. Well, 6 brothers. Right? So the oldest was a girl and 7 boys in a row. God bless my mom. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, she used to say, boys, there's no ice in the penalty box.
No ice in the penalty box. You a lot of the thing too, the people kind of forget is you started your career in Pittsburgh the first time around, and because everyone remembers you playing with Gretzky, you got to play with a young Mario. It's just right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my first year there, we were not a good team. We earned the right to draft Mario, so all the buildings would be half full, all jeans and T-shirts because the tickets are passed down, and they realized very early that Mario was going to be the first pick, and he was the prize to finish last. And so it was I had a chance to learn and play against Lafleur and Gilbert Perreault and all of those guys and make my mistakes. And then, later, then Mario came in, and you see this unbelievable amount of talent in a really young kid. And then, him progress. And then I went back and played with him later, 10 years later. And the way that franchise then took off because of Mario's presence. But it was really eye-opening, and it prepared me to be able to go on and make my steps.
You don't see this really anymore at all. But another thing people forget, you played wing and D.
There was it was about 4 or 5 years ago, they were talking about guys that played forward and defense, and they were mentioning a few guys, and I'm at home going, because I was fortunate enough, and Glenn Sather believed it. He was really great. He championed for me in a lot of ways. But so with him, I played both forward and defense in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, wow.
And but I think it's made me a better hockey person. It made me understand defense more after having to play forward more after having played defense. To go back and forth in key times of the game. It was a sneaky way to get more ice time, right? And to be more valuable. And it's funny. Later in my career, there was times that like Barry Melrose, to make an impact on the game, would throw me out for a shift up front, and just kind of turn me loose, and then go back and play D the rest of the game.
You're still going to find minor hockey teams around these parts and stuff where the coach will do that early on in a series or a game, throw some meat up front, crash some bodies.
But when I coached in the American Hockey League, my better players, I always in practice had them play D also, because if I need to put 5 guys on a power play, my best 5, if they're accountable defensively, you can put them on the ice on a power play and let them just go and play. Trust that they're going to make the right decisions and be responsible. But I think you got to work with them a little bit and practice them. Also, too, I tell parents all the time, if your kid's a winger, put them on the blue line. Everybody needs defensemen.
Wow.
Every league, NHL, all of them. What do they talk about? What do they need? Defensemen. So if a kid can learn how to play defense, you're valuable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I got to ask you, how do you ever think, about Brandon and I were watching it today, the illegal stick call? That's something that a lot of people, again, I forgot about it. And I'm like, that was Marty's stick.
Yeah. Well, I do think about it. And the interesting thing, when it happened, I'm like, I was like, really? I can't believe that they'd call that.
Do you have any inkling, like throughout the year?
Well, let me finish, and you're gonna. And so we were in the locker room after. We're like, really? Because we had like 6 guys that all had their sticks over, but barely. And all you have to do is file a heel or different things. Well, I've had 3 or 4 Montreal Canadiens. This is worse than Tom Brady's scenario. It's worse than other teams. They measured all our sticks between the second and third period. They took our whole stick rack in their bedroom. So, from that standpoint, when they measured everybody's stick, it was, and actually our video guy took a film of the Montreal bench of 6 or 7 of their guys when they called mine, handing their sticks back to the trainer. Because if there's close, you would not call it because it's a penalty on you if you're wrong. And our Barry Melrose just said, no, we don't plan on trying to win a game that way. But so after the fact, it's not hard. It's not, you can't help but be a little bit bitter because if that's really what they're going to stoop to.
You guys go up 2-0 in that series. I'm like,
Yeah, because my dad was such a huge Montreal Canadiens fan. He was loved the Rocket, right? And so, from that standpoint, Montreal being a storied franchise, and I played with Larry Robinson, and I had a ton of respect for guys like Lafleur and those guys. For that to be happening, I've had people say stuff that are Montreal fans, and I'm like, I don't think you should be really too proud of your team.
We got a couple minutes left here. What the state of the game right now? What the different hockey we're seeing, the skill, not a lot of the fighting or the body checking and all that. What do you think about the state of the game right now?
Well, first of all, I think that the playoffs are the best playoffs in sports. I think that it is so hard on your stars. I mean, for those guys to go through it, so you can't expect them to play like that all season long. It'll just kill those guys. I think that the guys like McKinnon, I think Sidney Crosby, I think Connor McDavid, and I think Austin. So many of them are really, really good young men. So I think that the game is in really good hands of really good young men, and so really good role models and examples. I don't like all the rules. I would make different changes. I don't necessarily like all the people that are making the decisions, to be honest with you, right? But I really trust in the players, and I think that from that standpoint, we're really fortunate.
Yeah, no, it's great. Four Nations Cup, where do you land on best pre-Olympics here?
Okay. Would Canada stop putting plumbers on the third and the fourth line? If you go back to 1987, they went to Dale Howertuck, who was a marvelous player, and said, would you kill penalties and play fourth line? Yes. He scored big goals given opportunities. I mean, put the best, trust the stars. Don't overthink it. Trust the best players. Getzlaf and Perry to play for Canada. They could play second line or fourth line. Made no difference because they were great players. Put the best players out there, trust them because they're really good young men, and don't overthink it. And also really go to really good hockey men. Go to a Mark Messier, go to guys like that to make decisions on your players. Don't do it with bureaucrats.
Yeah. Americans are going to be good though too, right?
And they should be good because they've been coming and they've put a lot into it, right? And I mean, the colleges and whatever. I mean, the game has grown. I go to the games in ASU, Arizona State. They've got a wonderful program. They're building it. And it's also a place for a lot of Canadian kids to go play at the same time, right? So they've done a lot of very good things. And so they're going to be better. And they've got role models like Brian Leetch, Chelios. They've got some great role models that these young kids could play like.
Can't wait for the hot stove tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming by quickly here.
No, you know what? It's great. Thank you, guys. It's a great game. I love promoting it. I'm a fan myself.
That is the legend Marty McSorley here live in Canora. Big day. It is Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. The banquet tonight, full slate. You can find all the information, Hockey Day in Sask.ca. We haven't got any cancellations. Just check out there if you're traveling. Hockey tonight, anywhere. Travel safe, drive safe. SJ, WHL. We're going to have the Farhan Lalji interview from earlier coming up. Farhan talks football. We talk CFL. We talk Winnipeg. Or we talk Vancouver Canucks. So it's all coming up there. Thanks to Brandon so much for joining me today. Thanks to the guys back at the studio. We're live in Canora, Hockey Day in Saskatchewan. We'll talk to you Monday.